This is Dave Arnold, your host of Cookie Eaters, coming to you live from the heart of Manhattan, Rockefeller Center, New York City, Newsstand Studios, joined not as usual. John's not here. He's sick. He's under the weather. What are you going to do? But I do have Joe Hazen rocking the panels. How you doing, Joe?
Hey, welcome to the studio.
Hey, yeah.
How's everyone going?
It's going all right. Although, guess what? I silenced my phone, but you know what silencing your phone...
It's going off the hook right now with something.
Do you know what doesn't silence? Alarms don't silence. So stupid. I was born stupid. I'm going to start in reverse. In the upper left, we have Quinn. How you doing?
Hey, I'm all right.
You cheerleading it up there? Everything good?
Yeah.
It sounds it. Yeah. Always chipper. Moving down on that coast, we got in Los Angeles, Jackie Molecules. How you doing?
Yo, I'm good.
Yeah. And Nastasia the Hammer Lopez. What's up?
Hi.
I try to because I never speak to anyone on this show before I get in the morning, so I try to read in the way they say hello what's actually going on behind the scenes. And
I don't really understand
what?
This morning.
What?
I don't really understand text this morning.
What text?
I don't know, something about gaslighting in Home Depot.
Oh, the question is someone you are doing a project with is gaslighting you, right? Let me introduce, let's get our guest in on this. So, from the new book, Taste in Music, Eating on Tour with Indie Musicians, we have Luke Pyenson. How you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me. Now I feel like I can, interject with
and so, I'll give you the, Nastasia, in case you haven't seen the book yet. What it is what?
Dave.
What?
Oh, I didn't know that was a real question. I thought it was in reference to Home Depot. Never mind. We can talk later.
Well, no, it's an interesting question. So the question is, if someone's gaslighting you, right, the gaslighting isn't necessarily working on me. I don't believe the things that are being said to me, but it's still irritating and inefficient, right? And maybe they believe this stuff. See, I think there's can't it be the case that the person who's gaslighting you actually believes their own story? Can't that be true?
I have a friend who's a philosophy professor, and she specializes in gaslighting.
Ooh, all right.
So I wish we could get her on the.
I thought you were going to give us like a little chestnut.
I mean, I don't have any chestnuts, but I know a specialist if you need to talk to someone. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. All right, Quinn. What was your gaslighting idea?
Well, no, I was going to say, I think gaslighting implies intent. If they just believe something that's incorrect and they're telling it to you, that's just being delusional.
No, but if it's always in their favor and it always happens, then in other words, like I try to treat things in an Old Testament sort of way. I don't look towards intent, right? I look towards action and words and speech. And so intent is somewhat important if they were going to go to court, but if the effect is the same, it could be an AI doing it to me. I don't care. You know what I mean? It's it's just irritating and inefficient. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because gaslighting, probably a great technique if it works, right? You drive someone else crazy and you make them think that what you're saying is accurate when it's not. But if it doesn't work, it's just a pain in the butt, no? Anyway, I took off my glasses so I can't see anything. So, Luke, this is the portion of the program where we all discuss anything that's happened over the past week, usually in food, but not always in food, right? So, what does anyone got?
So two things. First, on the music front, because I know it's a music show, I was looking at the totally wrong list before when you asked. I do know a lot of people in this book, and I happened to see TV on the radio play this weekend. So I feel
cool.
like that's kind of in line with some of the stuff you got in the book. But then moving to food, Dave, went to Park's Barbecue again, which I hadn't been to in a while, which is a legendary Korean barbecue spot here. And I have a question for you. What's your strategy for all the little dishes that come out with the barbecue?
Okay.
Do you just go in blind? Do you ask? You know what I mean?
Oh, I just eat them all fast.
You just eat them all.
Because if you eat them all, often they will bring you more.
They do. That's true.
Yeah. I like almost all of those things. Like, there's very few of those things. Like, is there any that you are worried about in particular? Like, does the marinated crab worry you?
No, some of them though, I couldn't tell you what some of them are. I eat them. I'm like, that's delicious. I don't bother asking or doing any additional research though. Well,
here's what you should do. I don't know whether it's good enough at this yet, but Google reverse search is very good for products. Maybe it's also working for food at this point. If not, it should soon. Did I have this conversation? I'm having a super deja vu moment where, so I was a philosophy undergrad. Oh. Yeah. So like I used to love to read Plato all the time. I loved it. Did we talk about this on air? And but I always thought he was a moron. I mean, great writer. You know what I mean? But like fundamentally wrong, obviously, right? Like the idea of the Platonic form I thought was kind of absurd, right? Like there's no truth to like the dogness of a dog or the chairness of a chair, for instance, right? Right. And yet here's AI, like basically saying, look, I can like not know anything and see the chairness of a chair, but maybe that's as far as forms go. I know there's a lot of scholarly research right now. I just haven't read it because who has the time to read philosophy when you're, busy losing money in a cooking business, right, Stas? Yeah.
Yes, Dave.
Yeah. I got offered a job as a phone bank person for Home Depot, and it said I can make anywhere between $50 and $1,000 a day. I was like, all of those numbers are better than we're actually doing right now, Stas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so how do we get on this? Oh, barbecue. Just eat it.
Reverse
search
Google
on Google.
Photo,
yeah. Then you can hopefully you can find out what to think. But it's often wrong. Even my Plant ID app, which is phenomenally amazing.
Yeah, I was going to say plants, I feel like, is where it really excels.
It's very good, except for when it's not. You know what I mean? Like, because it's not actually what. I mean, I'm sure you know this. What they're not actually doing is doing like a bifurcating tree like you would do for Plant ID, where it's like, okay, opposite leaves, okay, where does it live, all this stuff, and like figuring out are there bristle tips on the leaves? Like, it's not doing that. It's just beep boop beep boop beep, like doing its neural garbage, and then coming out with and sometimes it's just dead wrong.
Yeah,
So
maybe it wouldn't do that for Perilla. Maybe it'd tell you the Perilla was shiso.
Maybe it depends on like it's. I think on stuff that people take a lot of pictures of, it's probably pretty good.
And I think Banchan is pretty well photographed.
Yeah, probably. I don't know whether people have trained the set. That's the thing. Have they trained the set?
Yeah.
Garbage in, garbage out. That's like a lot of the early big data stuff was on food was just bad because they're like. They just fed it a bunch of like white folk stuff.
Yeah.
And then so like you got back white folk answers, and they're like, oh look. Butter and flour go well together. Okay, guy. You know what I mean? It's like garbage in, garbage out. I think it's the same with all this stuff,
Yeah.
I love people who are like, algorithms can't be racist. Okay. 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 You know what I mean? Anyway. All right, Quinn, you've always got something in the food front. By the way, I saw an absolute opposite band from what Jack saw. I saw the New York Philharmonic.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, very different band.
Pretty opposite.
That's a good band, though.
Yeah, it was a great band. Actually, I haven't been there probably in a decade.
I was going to ask, so it's now that it's renovated,
does it sound any better, in other words?
That's what I was going to ask.
I mean, I don't remember how bad it used to sound. So for those of you that don't know, like the New York Philharmonic played in what was like worldwide known as the crappiest sounding auditorium of any major orchestra. Like just trash and we have like one of the best in the world. We have Carnegie Hall, but like our best orchestra, no offense to all the orchestras, like played in the crappiest
best band, arguably.
Yeah, best band. Yeah, what was it? It was what was that thing called? Alice Tully, right? Anyway,
Alice Tully Hall.
Yeah, and it's named after like
David Geffen.
Yeah. And it sounded pretty good.
How are the sight lines? Because I remember terrible sight lines in the old one too.
Oh, it was good, and we were up in this like second tier, like my nose wasn't quite bleeding. I didn't have to like pull out the Kleenex, but like it sounded good, and I could see everything that was going on. And it was one of those rare things where they were doing like a multiple performer bid, multiple composer bid, and like I wanted to see one, and my wife wanted to see. My wife was going for the Shostakovich, and I was going for the Prokofiev. I was like,
classic.
Yeah. And then she ended up liking the Prokofiev more, and I ended up liking the Shostakovich more.
Wow.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
And I want to sit in those seats that are right above the band. Like there's that tier that's like behind the stage.
Yeah, no, hell no. Like, I mean, the thin one where you're gonna fall off. I don't like heights.
Yeah, no, I don't love heights either. But I feel like aren't there rows that are like you're like right at the stage, right above it. But I feel like they're bad seats, so they're not that expensive.
Nastasia would get that and love it. Nastasia's favorite view of any band is the side of their faces, like from behind.
I want a bird's eye view of all the wacky percussion. I just want to see the guy that's standing there most of the time, and then every so often he'll pick up a triangle or pick up.
They had a lot of percussion going on because Russians, like, you know what I mean, and like. They had like dual timpanis, like two timpani guys
mostly.
Well, they were doing also like just a lot of like the timpani folk were on point, and whatever they call that giant bass drum that they have. I don't know what the hell they call it.
Me neither.
What do you mean? You don't know what they call that?
Honestly, no.
What the hell, dude? Aren't you a drummer?
You said it was an opposite. I never did like symphony band. I always did jazz when I was younger.
Oh, you're like a brush freak?
I'm not a brush freak.
I'm looking at you right now.
I'm not a brush freak.
You're a brush.
I'm not a brush freak, but what I can tell you is that Vic Firth, the main manufacturer of drumsticks, also makes a pepper mill. I don't know if you know that.
I did not.
Same wood.
Really?
Same wood.
But like... Okay,
the
what
sticks
are they?
are better than
ash?
the mills.
What are they? Ash?
I don't know. I actually don't know what the wood is, but that's their two products: drumsticks and pepper mills.
What's your stick size?
I use the Peter Erskine Ride Stick, which is a little bit thinner and it has like a tapered tip, and it's named after Peter Erskine, who is a jazz like session drummer.
Yeah.
His daughter Maya Erskine is a well-known actress.
Yeah. So you like a lighter stick?
I like a lighter stick. Yeah.
Wait, what's over under?
Over under.
What's that?
Snare.
Oh.
Sorry?
The way you hold your sticks.
Oh, trad or non-trad. I don't do trad grip. Yeah. I feel like whatever. I have my own opinions about folks who do trad grip in a rock band, but it's not for me.
The drummer from my college band played with marching band sticks.
That is crazy. That's like, well, the guy from like Tool will use that too, Heavy hitters.
I forget what the numbers were. There was some number of D or something like they were big freaking sticks.
Yeah.
And then when he learned that Fish from Fishbone used like 2 Bs or some tiny little stick, he was like, oh.
This is reminding me of the album cover for Pink Floyd. Was it Amagama or not Amagama? Live at Pompeii, where they have all their instruments laid out, including the truck that drove all the console.
Yes. I love
that picture. Yeah.
How much do you hate like a vocalist who doesn't have to carry heavy gear? Speaking of that,
oh man, I mean, I just like in our band we did share a lot of the schlepping, I have to say. But no, I don't resent anybody. I'm happy to schlep. It's my burden.
No, so you're a liar. No, I'm kidding.
I'm gaslighting you.
Yeah. Ding.
Covered and smothered.
There you go.
Wow.
All right, listen. We don't have John to do his McGillis. So if you're listening live and you want to call in questions ostensibly about eating whilst on the road. Right, or anything eating, because we're gonna have to get some regular questions in as well. Otherwise, we're never gonna get to them. Call in your questions to 917-410-1507. That's 917-410-1507. That's if you're a live Patreon listener. And Quinn, why don't you tell them how to do that?
Well, I mean, they're listening live if they are a patron at patreon.com/cookingissues, where you get all sorts of benefits like listening live, priority questions, occasional discounts with our sort of guests or friends of the show. And you also get $20 off of the Sears All Pro. Dave, why don't you tell them about the current Sears All Pro holiday sale?
Oh, yeah. Sears All Pro. The Sears All Pro is 50% larger than the traditional Sears All, but the same weight and the same height. So safe now on MAP Gas to really sear the hell out of your food. And you can get it for $20 off, which is almost the price of a regular Sears All on crappy Amazon, who hasn't paid us in a year and a half.
Good. Yeah, so right now, the Sears All Pro is $100 on bookeranddax.com, and if you are a patron at the all access or VIP level, you can search the archive for a $20 off code that still works on top of the sale price.
Yo, Quinn, don't do that to me on the fly, though. You know how hard it is to come up with ad copy and do the stupid voice at the same time, man? It's not easy, man. Gotta give me some time. I could come up with copy for you. You know what I mean? Although, to be fair to you, I wouldn't have taken the time to come up with the copy. So
Yeah.
Anyway, also to the Patreon people, I want to know this. Listen, I have so many 3D files that I have, like 3D print files. I have no idea what percentage of the people who are on the Patreon have access to a 3D printer or even care about this kind of stuff. So let us know on the Discord or whatever, like if you do 3D printing, what kind of 3D printer do you use? If you do like laser cutting, let us know what you have. And then if there's people out there who want some of these files, like for instance, you got your espresso people? Yeah. So I moved away from my giant this is like, almost a year ago now. I moved away from my giant Rocky grinder, which was big, but it was 25 years old and, it was getting long in the tooth. And I moved to a Baratza Sette, right? But I didn't want to get the one that weighs because it's too fiddly for me. So I 3D printed a better single dose hopper than the one you can buy for it on the internet.
Oh.
So anyway, things like this that you could have because I don't care. I'm never going to commercialize these things.
Do you have a 3D printer?
Oh yeah, I have the same 3D printer for like 12 years now.
I need to get a diaper, like a thing for a top of a diaper thing. Maybe you can send it over to you to print for me.
Do you have an STL?
I haven't got it from the website.
Yeah, all right. I print everything in ABS, so hopefully that's okay. How big is it though?
It's got to be probably maybe 6x6, maybe about an inch.
It's not
in
so
depth.
bad. It's not so bad.
No, it's not so bad.
It's a matter of time because the things take forever. But I print like tons of parts on that all the time. Like I have for years and years and years. My whole house is like half 3D printed little Gotsis.
Well, wasn't the whole point to send these schematics up to space to print while in space for the parts of the satellites and
I guess.
space stations?
I mean, the problem is that you have to print functional items and so it depends on what your idea of functional is. So like a lot of people like to print in a material called PLA because it's kind of like theoretically eco-friendly and like, a bioplastic and all this, but it sucks under heat. Its heat deflection temperature is just too low, so I can't use it for anything almost. I print on, so like it all depends on space. In space, but it gets really hot in space. It gets really freaking hot in space and really freaking cold.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean? Like it's like, and like a lot of those parts need to be made of metal. So the answer is yes, you could do it. You know what I mean? Like everyone thought like when metal printing became big, and maybe it has happened that like Boeing, back when people were like, ooh, Boeing. You know what I mean? Like Boeing is going to like have like 3D printers wherever like their maintenance stuff is so that instead of having to wait for a part to show up from across the country, they'll just be like, beep, boop, beep. I don't think it's happened yet. But metal printing is sick. Sick.
Love Boeing.
Really? You're a Boeing man?
No, I don't know. No. Yeah. I mean, I use their products unwillingly. Yeah. Right?
So wait, you're
it's
not
usually
like,
Boeing.
You're not
when I get on a plane, I feel like it's
you're not one of those Aerobus things. You're not an Aerobus person.
I'll go. I mean, whatever they put me on.
Triggered from Boeing. Tour busing. That's what it is.
I know. I was never in a bus. Never did a bus.
Oh, whoa. Wait. Okay. So to touring for a second. So like what? So you never did bus? Did you do van?
Van, Sprinter, minivan, sedan.
Ooh, fudge.
Yeah.
Sedan. Oh, that's the roughest.
Sedan's
How
tough.
far did you tour in a sedan?
Oh, I did cross country there and back in a sedan.
Yeah. How many sedans?
One sedan.
How many pieces in the band?
One time with 4 and one time with 3.
Gear on top?
Gear on top the first time and like gear not on top the second time.
What kind of gas mileage did you get?
Oh man, like terrible. The second, what kind of car was it? It was like an old Corolla, I want to say. The second time, the first time, it was an old Acura.
Oh Jesus! Are you familiar with the book about how to cook using your engine block?
I have heard about it.
There's 2 different books on the subject of how to cook using your engine block. I feel like you could have killed all the birds with 9 stones.
Yeah, maybe we could have.
Yeah,
but the gear on top thing doesn't work. It's not good.
Yeah. Did you even because it's not like friendly. Well, I guess did the bassist have his or her own cab, or were they D-boxing it?
There was no cab. It was just a single, single. Yeah. But we put like our suitcases. It was terrible. I don't want to think about it, but I'm proud of it.
Did you do an airplane tour?
Well, in Australia, that's how you tour. Yeah. You take planes between every city because the distances are too far.
Freaking far. Yeah. All right, caller. We have a caller. Caller, you're on the air. What's up?
Yeah, hi, this is Patrick from New York. How you doing?
All right, how you doing?
Good. This may be related to eating on the road. In fact, it is. But I have a really basic question that I've been meaning to ask for a while. Does one need to wash fruits or vegetables? And I'm not talking about sand or grit or anything like that, but a vegetable or piece of fruit that you can buy in a supermarket, or I guess a farmer's market in the United States, does one for health and safety reasons actually need to wash it?
Well,
if it's clean and grit free.
Yeah, we should get the riskier not folk in. So that you're saying, aside from whether or not they've coated it with some sort of something, or whether or not there's any sort of pesticide application, are you talking about human filth?
Yeah, let's accept pesticides. Like, let's say I'm going to use a real world example that's constant, is that I can buy escarole at a supermarket near me. Sometimes it has grit, but sometimes it has zero grit, and I'm inclined not to bother go through the whole rigmarole of washing, rinsing, drying if I'm not going to bite down on a rock.
Yeah,
but
escarole gets quite wet.
Sure.
Okay, listen. How do you guys wash your escarole? Is an important problem. How do you guys wash your escarole? For me, it's you break the leaves apart, immersion soak in a giant pot, or better yet, a colander, and then spin it dry. And because I've never once seen escarole that comes cleaned, but there's always that one little piece of dirt. Do you cut the bottom of your escarole off? Is that why? Do you cut enough off the bottom that all the dirt is trapped in little?
I check the bottom for that way. Cut it off for dirt. Most of it's in the bottom inch.
Yeah, that's true.
You have clean leaves after that, but that got me thinking. Is well, do I need? The escarole is the base of the question, in fact, but I'm drawing it to broader things. Well, cabbage.
This is separate.
Other salad leaves.
Separate, but for instance, I'm So there are things that I always do, no matter what, just because I've seen what happens when you don't. It's like when you get fresh cod, you look at it because worms, right? When you get Brussels sprouts, you look at it because little maggoty things in
Brussels sprouts.
Never seen. If you look at the base of a Brussels sprout leaf, you'll see sometimes a small borehole, or you'll see the leaves kind of brown. And when you cut those open, you can see boreholes through them.
Oh no!
And all the time. And so I always check my Brussels sprouts, and I cut off every single. If you eat a Brussels sprout at my house, I have looked at it individually, trimmed the end of it off where it was trimmed a million years ago.
Yeah.
And taken the outer leaves off and looked at it and been buddy, are you okay? Which is why I don't really like making them, even though they're my wife's favorite vegetable.
Favorite?
She loves Brussels sprouts. And I like them. I like them. I don't like preparing them.
Yeah.
For that reason. Or pistachios. You have to look at if you buy shelled pistachios, you have to look at every single pistachio, because the bad pistachio is not just because of the aflatoxin, because who cares if you live or die, really. It just tastes so bad.
Yeah, so
you know
bitter.
What I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Ruin your evening.
Do you like a salad spinner?
Love salads. I hate all actual salad spinners, but I like the function of them. So back to the question at hand. How many times have you been at a store and you've seen someone pick up a fruit and or vegetable, and then you look at them and you're like, nah. Yeah, that's why you wash it. Because that person, you don't know if that person has picked up your vegetable or not. You know what I mean? I once went to a very famous place, served very fancy cheese. Two of us. I know. You know how people are you never know who it was that gave you the food poisoning. Yeah, unless multiple people who only ate one meal together get food poison.
Yeah.
And I got set on double spray out of both sides, on fire, shot, right? And because someone didn't wash their hands, and they, handled the cheese that they had sliced and didn't cook. So anything that you're going to eat, once you're going to cook it, I think it's much less of a problem. Do you think
raw, though, that even helps remove that? Or isn't at that point it's contaminated anyway?
I don't. So a lot of the E. coli problems with aren't washed. Again, not an expert on this, right? But a lot of that stuff, I think, was internal. In other words, somehow the bacteria had gotten on it, dripped on it a long time ago. But I think surface stuff you can. And
cooking it. Washing it and cooking it. But I feel it's always lettuces.
But even if you're not, yes, it's always a salad that'll kill you. That's what you tell any pregnant person. It's the salad that'll kill you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or the deli meat. Things that you're not going to cook.
Deli meat,
right? Deli meat will kill you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Listeria, the thing is that listeria is not going to get the vast majority of us sick. But if it does get you sick, you're in real trouble. You know what I mean? And so I think it's not that you can kill or remove all of the bacteria. It's not like I'm spraying Clorox on my vegetables. I think some people put like hardcore
I was
stuff.
going to say I actually had an old bandmate who washed apples with soap because he was with dish soap. He was brought up that way.
That's creepy.
So that just to tie into my book.
Where are they? Is that in here? I didn't see that.
Yes, it's not in there.
Yeah. And where did they grow up?
He grew up in upstate New York.
Uh-huh.
What about people growing
religious
strawberries with baking soda?
What?
You've seen that before? Baking soda on water?
Why?
I have no idea.
Like soaking them in?
Yeah, exactly.
Why?
Weird.
It does this crazy effect where it gets super foamy and then
well, that makes sense because they're acidic.
Huh.
Right?
But why would you be killing the acid in your strawberry like a jerk? Anyway, point being that even if you can't kill all of the stuff with washing, I believe you can reduce the bacterial load. And like some of it might be in like surface filth. So I think anytime you reduce the bacterial load, it's not that you necessarily made it 100% safe. It's still the salad that's going to kill you. But, I think you've just lessened the killing. You know what I mean?
And then escarole, you're braising it probably. So
although there is an escarole.
Escarole is, it's good every preparation, but it is also the one that this is a supermarket that I only buy the escarole at because all the other produce is expensive and not of good quality. But
that's a good combo.
No cashier in 2 years has ever got escarole correctly, even after buying, hundreds of heads.
Oh,
so
man.
It's an interesting problem.
So do you walk up and you're like, escarole? Do you much remember the SKU for it so you can give them the PLU?
Well, the funny thing is that sometimes it's remembered as a thing because the price is variable because it's per head. So sometimes it's inputted as a thing that's slightly lower in price, sometimes higher.
So you like the gamble.
I've corrected both. I've corrected both times, but it sort of offends my heritage, Italian heritage, that no one knows what this very delicious vegetable is.
All right, question.
Anybody.
What does it get input incorrectly as? More as like a bib? More as like a romaine? What do they incorrectly put it as?
Green leaf is the most common.
Green leaf.
Then romaine.
Yeah.
And then
doesn't even look like
romaine at all.
As green cabbage, which is the most bizarre one.
What?
But yeah. So no, and nobody knows what escarole is. Just sad.
But everybody knows what green cabbage is. I mean, like,
I know.
How do you
That's even sadder.
What if they were like Oreos? What if they just like put it in as like something completely different? Because like green cabbage is so far away.
I would think
from
you would save some money if they're putting it in as green cabbage, right?
Well, I guess because they're supposed to be real heavy and they're real cheap per pound. Yeah, I mean that's probably the ideal. I like that you like the gamble, but the idea that you wouldn't know the difference between a heading brassica and a non-heading. I thought escarole's a brassica. Yeah, it's a brassica.
I will take this exact quote to the cashiers next time I'm there and see how they see how I get treated.
Yeah. I wouldn't. I mean, like, yeah. Oh, speaking of grocery, so how many grocery stores are there in your neighborhood?
This will help identify what it is without naming it. It is a Brooklyn-based mini sort of high-end supermarket chain, but of 4 to 5 stores.
I think I have a guess.
Brooklyn Fair, right?
I think it's Union Market.
You think it's Union Market? Oh, we have one by us. That's overpriced.
I can neither confirm nor deny. Yeah, there's one in Manhattan, but there is one located a 2-minute walk from our apartment now. So that's the source of much escarole, but no other produce, basically, because of its price. So familiar with. We've now named the location. So
all right. So listen. So how do you do your escarole? Because escarole is important. How do you do your escarole?
Well, I do escarole everywhere, but I do like it as a salad. As a raw salad, not just cooked.
You're a bitter man.
In soups.
Yeah.
Yes. In soups. I like it. Braised in any preparation. And for Christmas, was thinking of doing it just braised in heavy cream, like several heads, which I thought would be pretty good.
Obviously on Christmas and not Christmas Eve. If you're Italian, are you doing the fish?
I will be not preparing Christmas Eve, so but this will be for Christmas Day anyway. So yeah, braised escarole in cream.
Quinn, are you guys doing the fish this year?
No, I don't think we've ever done the fish.
Okay. got to do the fish. Anyway.
Maybe when we went to my grandma's.
Yeah.
I did have a fish idea, Dave, that you would love is Feast of the One Fish. Just do cod, 7 different ways.
So instead of like doing all of the different things, just do. So like I'm going to put this out there as a plug for people who pay me nothing. But Coluccio Brothers in Brooklyn, right? So it's near. I don't know what neighborhood that actually is. I think it's near Sunnyside or some crap like this. But Coluccio Brothers, between now and Christmas, has the best cod display I have seen in the United States ever, salted cod. So they have like 5 different varieties of whole sides of cod, as well as like the box down fat, like bacala, like setups that you can do. So if anyone wants to really up their cod game this year, and you're stopping near Brooklyn, go by Coluccio's and see the serious cod business.
I'll put in a plug for Portugalia Marketplace in Fall River, Mass, which I wrote about. For Sever. They've got a whole climate-controlled room for their bacalao.
Really?
They've probably got, I don't know, upwards of 25 varieties and cuts of bacalao, including a bin of bits, which I think for the shredded Portuguese preparations is the best, and it's easier to soak and easier to cook with.
Bacala bits. I'll tell you, I typically buy, this is, okay, I'm going to give a couple actual cooking-related things here. I do a lot of preparations where the cod is like, or it's not even really cod. I use pollock. Come on, some corn cheap. Anyway, so is shredded, and so like you don't really need to do much. So if you're like mixing like salt fish into like mashed yams, for instance, or like actual yams, not like sweet potatoes, like actual.
I was gonna say that sounds a little.
Real yams.
Like fried rice.
Like naan.
Fried rice.
Yeah, right. Stuff like that. So like for that, I think the cheap stuff, because it's so thin, I've never done the actual test, but like still to my mind, I'm like, don't boil it. Yeah. But like I just bring it up warm to like, my mom used to do, I'm kind of triggered because my mom used to do the like week-long soak, and I spilled it once all over our laundry.
Oh no.
Because it was in the laundry room. Right, in a tub in the laundry room.
That's not the best place for it.
Yeah, on top of the washer. So, when I was a kid, I was like, what's this? Boom! And like the bacala juice all over everything. It was a nightmare. Yeah. Anyway, point being that it's good, but I like the cheap stuff for like, because that stuff you can get the salt out. You don't even really need to because you're going to shred it, but you can get it out like in an evening. You don't need to do a lot of planning for it. All right, I will tell you my escarole. I do my mom's old escarole, which is like real, like quick weeknight meal. Is you just fry up, you fry up a bunch of bacon with onions. So you sweat out the onions and the bacon at the same time. Chop up like old school, like 70s pepperoni, like a half a stick. Dice it, throw that in there. Beans, escarole. Use cannellini beans.
Sounds great.
It is pepper. I do it now super fancy where I start from dry beans and I use all the stuff, but my mom's is still, the one I remember. But that's my go-to escarole, kind of stewed. I like it stewed. You a raw escarole man?
I like it stewed.
It sounds like Utica greens. So, well, I thank you for the answer, greens. And now I'm going to have $20 heads of escarole since I've identified myself on air as the only purchaser of escarole in this market.
The odds that they're listening, minimal. All right. Well, good luck getting cabbage prices for your escarole.
Thank you.
All right. So, where was it?
Let's go into the book.
Oh yeah. Okay. So like, I'm just gonna say I forget who said it, but like one of the musicians. So the format of this book is that it's not really interviews. It's more like musicians, some of whom you're friends with, and some of whom like you're just like, I don't know. You're not friends with Bob Mould, right?
No, I can't say I am.
I mean, like, I was like, oh, Bob Mould. Like, so, like, we were joking about, like, it's good. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, it's indie musicians. So how do you define indie? First of all, let's get into that.
Oh, man. There's no definition. It's meaningless.
Well, how much money does an indie person make? For instance, what I thought was hilarious is that one of the people who had a diverticulitis when they were really young, like, didn't seek medical treatment because I think they weren't insured, but also because their whole band was making $100 a night. He's like, I'm making $100 a night as a professional musician, so I'm not going to go help myself.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So what level of indie? So indie goes from starving to you're making a real living, right? Like, what's the range?
Yeah, there's a wide spectrum that includes all of that, and even includes, I don't know, there's people who are probably making a ton of money who who would be classified as indie under the very broad, meaningless definition.
Right, like Pavement's in here, but is that really indie?
Yeah, Pavement's for sure. Pavement's indie, and I also, I don't know.
I mean, now they can sell places out because of nostalgia, right? But you're saying back in the day when Slanted and Enchanted came out, and like,
yeah, I mean, pioneers of what is considered to be indie rock for sure, and still indie. But
Bob Mould's whole thing in here is called Econo. Because he was poor as hell during Husker Du. I didn't start listening to them because I'm not that old, but I didn't start listening to them until Warehouse came out, the compilation of their stuff. But then when his solo stuff came out, I thought he was huge, but I guess he wasn't huge. He was still indie. Sugar was huge.
I mean, literally, it's if you're on an independent label, right? But even that is kind of like nebulous. My band was on Sub Pop. 51% is owned by Sub Pop and 49% is Warner Brothers, I believe. So even that is kind of like, what's indie, what's not indie. We've got Phoebe Bridgers, touring chef in here. Phoebe Bridgers started as indie, I think still classified on playlists or whatever as indie. I don't know. But I think we need to call it something, and that was the easiest.
Indie cred, rich people money?
Yeah. What I will say is that my great aunt, who's 85 years old, picked up the book at Thanksgiving and said, "Taste in music, eating on tour with Indian Muslims."
Wow.
So that's another spin.
That's a whole different book.
Yeah, that's a whole different book.
You should. I mean, I guess you're not really in the position to write that book, but
I'm not.
You could find people who could.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I can't find who the quote is, but someone in here gave like the perfect quote. It's someone who had made some money. She'd gotten more famous.
That's probably Natalie from Wise Blood.
Well, the quote was, that I started off. One of the themes that runs through this is the older musicians like came up when people didn't care about food as much in general. Definitely, like they were all fast food. Like one of the quotes I thought was hilarious was the chef from I think from Nashville. She was like, when a heavy metal band comes through, they don't give a rat's behind what the hell they're served, so I just get them like Popeyes or some crap. But it's like if an indie band from Brooklyn specifically, so you weasels like are coming through, like she's going to give a crap because you give a crap. So like there definitely seems to be a real like age break between older people, basically food not being more than just sustenance or being like vegan punk, like like Mould was back in the day.
Right.
I think he was. And then like or like now when the only person I know who was one of my old bartenders who had touring musician, he's a food freak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, why do you think that break happened? And the quote I think was perfect. So I'm part of this thing called the Museum of Food and Drink.
Right.
And like part of the notion there is that, and I remember the quote, she said, "I used to think that good food was bougie."
Right.
But it's not bougie. It's for everyone. And like, that's the big jump that she made mentally. And now she has more money. So it's good. But like the point being that like, that's the whole goal of the museum, that it shouldn't be bougie, that like, working style musicians who are like on the road, like all the time shouldn't have to poison themselves.
Yeah.
To do it.
Yeah.
Who was it? Do you remember who that was?
That was Natalie from Wise Blood, Natalie Merring, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great quote. And it's true. It's funny because in the U.S., what she was talking about is getting to tour in Europe more, and getting a little bit more successful, but being able to do even the DIY tours in Europe, which promoters really care about showing you a good time and sharing their local culture with you. And it just doesn't really happen in the U.S. And so I think, at least in our world of quote unquote indie music, a lot of people get exposed to these sorts of styles of eating when they get to tour in Europe for the first time, and they're like, oh wow, like people are eating this food that would cost so much at a restaurant where I live, and be thought of as bougie or whatever, but here it's just normal.
Well, it seems that like the actual home cook hospitality seems to happen more not here.
It does not I mean, I should say, so there's this, I forget if this term comes up in the book or not, but like there's this whole idea of promoter pasta, which is really, that's what you're going to get in the US if you get anything at all, which I think kind of sounds like what it is. It's a big vat of, whatever pasta with some kind of jarred sauce.
What's the standard? Apparently, I don't know if you know this, not you know this, you wrote it, but like every green room has hummus apparently.
Every green room has hummus. We had a kind of a anti-hummus manifesto written by Stephen Merritt that we were not able to include because it was a little
Over the top?
A little over the top.
How so over the top? You can include it here.
It was maybe not 100% sensitive to the strong cultural foundations of hummus, and that's something we didn't want to wade into with this book.
The thing is, like, hummus is delicious. You just don't want only hummus.
That's all he was trying to say. It's like, it is true. It's every single green room, and like, you know, it gets pretty bad after.
Does the cracker change?
I'm not even seeing crackers in my mind's eye. I'm seeing like dry crudité.
Oh, I love it. Like ashy carrots?
Yes.
Yeah. Celery where the ends have started to split open?
Correct. A little bit of brown. Just a little bit of brown.
Yeah. Love it. What's your least favorite crudité?
Probably, man, the thing is, theoretically I like crudité, but if we're talking about a green room crudité, I don't like baby carrots. Really? I prefer.
They're not really baby carrots anyhow.
Right. But I don't like what they've done to them. And I don't like the specific kind of weird sweet flavor that they have.
Do you not like the abrasive peeling technique that's used on them? They're like tumbled.
What I don't like is when they cut, if we're talking about, so not in a crudité platter, if we're just talking a bag of baby carrots, which is another common green room thing, that's a wet product. Oh, and I really don't like how wet they are.
Yeah.
It's too wet.
It's very wet. I always rinse that. Going back to the caller before, and, listen, we had the Risky or Not podcast, and one of the people on from that, and he was like, yeah, like all those things that say pre-washed, like the data is that it's safe. I'm like, oh, hell no. Yeah. Hell no. I'm going to wash that crap. Yeah. You know what never works? Pre-washed arugula. You ever buy pre-washed arugula?
Yeah.
You open the bag and it smells like a swamp. Wash that.
Horrible.
Throw away the dark leaves. Wash the wet carrots. There was actually a carrot recall recently where you were.
Yes, listeria.
Yeah.
I'm up on the food safety news. My wife recently had a bacterial infection from, I think, salad.
It's a salad.
Yeah.
Well, cucumbers were just recalled last week.
Really?
Yeah, listeria as well.
Cucumbers delicious.
And obviously deli meat.
Deli meat.
Get in that. The New York Mag.
Was she pregnant at the time?
She was not and is not pregnant, but what happened is she has celiac disease. So we were in an airport, and normally a sandwich would be your go-to, but she kind of had to eat a salad. We try to avoid eating in airports, but we were in Europe. It was just like a whole deal. Yeah, it's not a good situation.
Airport salad. You could write a song.
It wouldn't be a nice song.
True or false? Every airport has an airport cowboy.
When you say airport cowboy, this isn't probably what you're thinking of, but I'm thinking of the jingle at the Denver airport when you take the little tram, which is a really nice Western jingle that kind of evokes the spirit of a Denver airport cowboy.
No, do you have it in your head?
Yeah.
Give it to me.
It's like ding 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 ding.
Oh,
it's
really?
Great. Oh, yeah.
Huh.
And you know what they're doing underneath Denver airport.
I heard it's haunted,
We don't need to get into that.
Isn't it haunted?
I've heard they're kind of controlling pretty much everything from underneath there.
Is this like a Pizzagate situation?
There's like a conspiracy theory.
It's like a QAnon situation going on with the underneath the Denver airport?
That's right.
Does it involve murder?
I don't know. I haven't gotten too deep into it, but I don't know. When I was abducted and taken down there, like they didn't show me.
They didn't show you all this stuff?
Yeah.
All right. All right, hold on a second. Let me knock some stuff out of the way. That's like questions that we've had for a million years. By the way, what is your, I know that from the book that, you're the one who makes people like get an Airbnb instead of staying at a crappy hotel, and you actually like cook meals
when we can. Yeah.
When you can. So weigh in on this stuff. Like what do you like to cook? What's your go-to?
On tour? What I used to cook on tour or just in general?
Yeah, both.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you what I cooked for dinner last night.
What did you cook for dinner?
I made a chicken Milanese and a huge salad.
Yeah.
Shaved fennel, a little bit of Hakurei turnip.
How do you do the Milanese with gluten-free?
I'll tell you. Kikkoman gluten-free panko. I want to say I think it's better than the non-gluten-free panko.
Those are strong words.
It gets so crispy. Well, the first dredge, usually I do rice flour, but we were out, so I used potato starch, which I think worked really well.
I like potato starch.
Then egg, and then the gluten-free panko is, I think, a rice flour, pea protein, and some dextrose in there. It gets so crispy.
Really?
Yeah, it really gets so crispy. And this is recent, the celiac stuff. It was just this year.
That
so
sucks.
I have the, recent in my mind. I can remember pre-celiac Milanese, and I really think this is better.
What's the over-under? 10 years when we can all get crispy, fix all the problems?
Yeah,
I'm going to get,
like
by the way,
that.
what I'm referring to, people, in case you don't know what I'm talking about, is crisper, and I can't wait to get crispy.
Yeah.
I'm going to get so crisped up. Like, I'm going to be the first in line to, like alter my DNA
Yeah.
to, like, get all...
If that could erase the celiac, I think my wife would be thrilled.
Yeah?
But the Milanese is good. That hasn't suffered.
Really? Well, I think frying is one of those things that it can be done really well. It's just you have to switch your starch bases around.
Yeah.
But I've never done the panko. I've never done gluten-free cracker, crumb, or panko substitutes. Only like straight fry, like batter fry stuff.
Yeah, well, that definitely works. And rice flour is such a good, flour for that. Good alt flour for crispy stuff. And, like Japanese fried chicken, for example. So crispy.
I was just thinking, man, my house is a gluten nightmare. My house is just one big gluten hole.
Yeah.
Like
Most are. Ours was up until May.
I grind flour like 3 times a week, and like so there's just a fine film of gluten.
Yeah, we can't come over.
I had that happen. So I think I said it on air. My son had a friend who was celiac, not like just didn't like gluten or whatever, like celiac, and he invited him over for dinner. I basically had to sequester all the ingredients in my kitchen, double wash everything, scrub the kitchen down, and then buy all new spices.
Spices?
I bought everything new because, like, literally, like, when I'm cooking and something's open, like, I'm grinding, it's like being in a flour mill. Like, there's flour, like, when I'm doing it, sometimes you can walk up and wipe your finger through it, and it's like flour on your fingers. So I was like, I don't trust any of this stuff. I don't trust any of it. Like, our salt and open salters and all this stuff, like, all new.
Yeah.
I didn't buy whole new spices, just what I was going to use that night.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we bought a new toaster. That was obviously the main thing.
Do you have? Is it like kosher? Do you have like dueling toasters?
No, I just at home. Yeah, our kitchen's not big enough for that. No, we just do fully. I'm fine with it.
So the building where I live in Lower Manhattan was built for primarily an Orthodox community. But they didn't have the money because it was also built for poor folk, and so like. No one had they didn't have like 2 sinks in it. So everyone used to have this like back and forth thing that they could like move back and forth.
Cool.
Yeah, but I don't think it works for gluten. It's more it's a religious thing, less a health thing, you know?
Right. Yeah, no, for this, it's just easier for us to have just wiped it out completely. But every so often, because like I said, it's pretty recent, we'll find something that's like, oh, we didn't throw this out. There's beer in our fridge still, Yeah. But anyway, the Milanese...
You got to take one for the team, pound that, and throw it away.
I guess so, yeah. Yeah, then I need to brush my teeth,
Yeah. Oh, it's that bad, huh?
Well, I don't know. It's like it's all celiac is celiac,
Yeah, I had, this is very stupid, but when I graduated from college, I had a couple of months between that and my job. And so, I think I said this on the air, I only did 3 things. I fried very, very hot peppers, habanero, and ate them. I worked on my 76 Bonneville, and I watched daytime TV. Those are the 3 things that I did. And it got to the point, I had a fry daddy that was given to me by my now sister-in-law, and my now wife was like, you have to stop. Not because, like, you should get a job. I had a job, it hadn't started yet, but because she couldn't kiss me anymore because my lips were so spicy.
You were battering and frying habaneros? What were you...
I was like stuffing them, deep frying them. I had trained myself up to the point, this is like 1993, I trained myself up to the point where I could just like fry them and eat them straight. Like stuff them with things, fry them to like wilt them and like get but the oil got super spicy and then my wife couldn't kiss me anymore.
Sounds good.
Not getting kissed anymore?
The stuffed habaneros.
Yeah, they were good, but it's stupid. It's stupid.
Yeah.
It's just not smart.
So I would say it's more weird.
I don't know.
Never heard anything
one person's
like
weird is another person's stupid. Oh, by the way, Quinn, you never said any food crap you did this week. Did you do any food crap?
Yeah, my brother is catering a holiday dinner for some family friends.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I volunteered myself for dessert. So, dairy-free, which isn't too bad, but the plan was pecan pie, and they requested peach sorbet. So I had to figure that out in the dead of Canadian winter.
Well, that's why puree is your friend, because they harvest that stuff when it's good.
Yeah, I mean, we bought a frozen peach, like at a regular grocery store, it was awful.
Yeah. That's why you got to get like I think all of those things are kind of heartbreaks. Did you punch it up with sugar and acid and then it was okay? That's how I usually fix those problems. Just punch it.
I mean, it tasted okay, but it doesn't taste like peach.
Yeah, peach is weird. Peach is weird once you remove it from its... does artificial peach flavor really taste like peach? And do they really want peach sorbet or do they want Haribo peach flavor? Because that's delicious. Do you know who's got the best gummies in the world? Korea.
We've convinced them to pivot.
Oh, all right. Well, that was very nice of you to...
We're going to do a spiced orange sorbet.
Like cloves?
No, we'll do, ginger, nutmeg, cinnamon with the pecan pie. Should work.
Did any of you, I'm thinking maybe Nastasia and I have had this conversation, do any of you grow up doing the thing where you get like an entire container of cloves and shove it into an orange and then shove a thing through it so you can hang the orange and then you dust the cloved orange and cinnamon and it smells for like years? I just made one 3 years ago. It still smells great. They dry.
Sounds awesome.
So yeah, they dry down.
I've never seen this in people's houses. I always wonder what it was.
Yeah. It's an orange, and it's punctured so many times by the clove, and if the humidity in your house is correct, which it usually is in the winter in this neighborhood, it's dry, right? Then the clove, I think, is enough of an antibacterial situation that it doesn't mold or grow mold. It just kind of desiccates and turns into this like hanging, solid, awesome potpourri situation. Yeah, so we have like the current one that we're on. When I was a kid, we would have it. Like I remember my whole childhood, and the one we have now is going on like 3 years. There's no name for it, but I recommend that everybody do it. It's not as cheap as I thought, 'cause cloves aren't as cheap as I thought, but it's not that bad. I don't buy the fanciest cloves. I buy Spice Class cloves in the big bucket. You go to like Essex Market or like some sort of like place where like bulk spice is sold. You get your cloves that way. But I recommend doing
I have some fancy cloves.
Yeah, don't use those for this. That's like I got scent, burlap, and barrel, fancy cinnamon.
How many
I'm like,
cloves am I gonna go through really?
In an orange, many.
But I'm just saying, like in my life.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know your life a little bit, but I don't know like your clove consumption. Like you might be a Ugenol freak for all I know.
I feel like I'm like. I regulate clove content quite heavily if I'm doing some sort of spice blend.
So you don't like cloves, is what you're telling me?
I like it. It is aggressive.
No hot toddies, no mulled wine.
Yeah. I use it in chicken stock. I puncture an onion the way you're talking about with like 2 cloves for chicken stock.
I like cloves and sauerkraut.
Really?
Delicious.
Yeah, choucroute, man. Cloves and sauerkraut. You know what? I like the cloves to get picked out beforehand because I don't like the...
Yeah.
Not so much on the...
Yeah.
But the sticking clove and onion, that's old school.
Yeah.
That's real old school, so it doesn't get like back into the soup.
Exactly.
So it strains out. Yeah. I'm a big believer in tying your herbs. I always tie my herbs and then have the little string sitting over the side of the pot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tie those suckers up.
Tying over cheesecloth.
Yeah, hell of cheesecloth. Then you have to strain the cheesecloth.
No,
just pick it up, throw it away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can even do bay leaves this way because if you take the bay leaf and you lay the bay leaf stack flat, then you put the string around it and you go, ugh! And when you do that, like some of the little pieces will shatter off, but none of the really sharp pieces are going to come out.
Right.
So like it just kind of cuts through the bay leaf, and then you could yank all the bay leaf because nobody wants to like get the bay leaf.
That happened to my mom when I was a kid.
Really?
Yeah, she kind of started choking on a bay leaf from prepared food from like the predecessor to Whole Foods. She had to go to the hospital.
See?
Yeah, they had to fish it out. It was scarring.
Oh my God! Triggered by
she was off bay leaves for a while.
Yeah,
maybe permanently.
Wow.
I haven't seen one in that kitchen.
In the house, yeah. I mean, like we consume bay leaves. Do you remember that internet hoax where people said bay leaves don't have flavor?
It's ongoing. There's a war on bay leaves. I think bay leaves are great.
Yeah, people who believe that bay leaves have no flavor. Like, what is wrong with them?
Yeah, it's the wrong bay leaves.
Well, you know who hates bay leaves?
Who?
Ants.
Really?
Is that right?
Yeah, great deterrent to ants.
Really?
Yes.
I appreciate that. Do you know what is a deterrent to weevils? Was I having a weevil discussion on air last week?
We were talking about weevils, yes.
Yeah, I didn't mention this. You know what is a natural repellent to weevils? wormwood, artemisia. Yeah. So like some people's like because they grow in a lot of places. Like I think old school in China, some of like the rice granaries, they would like line with like straw mixed with artemisia, so that the wormwood would repel the weevils. Which makes sense. Wormwood, I think, is an anti wormint.
And then you can distill the wormwood when you're done with it and make a...
I was wondering that. I was wondering, like, how potent does that stuff say when it stops? I'm trying to find in your book, maybe you can help me, Luke, the section with pavement, because...
Yeah, that's near the beginning. It's in the first... If the pages are brown, so if you look at the book, it's one of the sections with the brown pages.
Here it is. So what's interesting about this one is that goes back to what I was saying, where like this is before kind of the average band cared about food. Yeah. And by the way, I've said this many times, I'm going to say it again, I accidentally got sat next to Malcolmus at dinner, didn't know who he was. And I was like, and he likes food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Mark is the guy in that band.
And what I didn't realize, he works at Superiority Burger.
Yeah.
I was texting my buddies, and they're like, yeah, Mark Diebold from Pavement works at Superiority Burger. I'm like, that's so crazy.
Yeah, he's bartender, and before at Great Jones for many years. Yeah.
So weird.
I would think your worlds would have overlapped.
No. I mean, like, it should.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel bad now. One time in the middle of... So at Booker and Dax, the playlist was randomized. I hated it. I hate randomized playlists. There was a randomized. I hate most playlists. Whatever. It was randomized, and Dave Chang didn't used to allow anyone to change he wouldn't allow bartenders or the people because like he was known for his music taste, and so. But the problem is that it was shuffle, right? And even now, I don't think I don't think even AI shuffle playlists are great yet, right? I mean, they will be soon. They'll be better than anyone soon. But something from Slanted Enchanted Payment came on, I don't know, 40 Million Daggers or something like this, and it was just the wrong vibe. And so I killed it. I was there. I killed it. And I hate killing songs in the middle of things, right? But it just, at midnight when you just had something bumping going, it's it's not the way. And so I actually got booed, and I was like, wow. I was like, listen, I was like, you need to suck it. I was like, I love Pavement. I was like, I have listened to this album probably more hours than you worked this year. You know what I mean? I was like, but it's just not the right vibe now. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't hate Pavement. You know what I mean? They shut up. They probably didn't leave a good tip, which is not smart because I'm hurting my crew then. Right. Or maybe they felt shamed and they left a big tip. I don't know. I forgot to ask. It was 10 years ago, so who knows?
Where do you think has a good playlist in the city? Right now?
I don't know. I don't really go out that much. What do you think? Who's got a good playlist?
Not that many. I mean, Superiority obviously has good music. Yeah. Ugly Baby, which sadly is closing, has a really aggressive, loud, and good playlist.
And well, first of all, what's your theory on... So I have some theories on playlists. See what you think. I'm not saying that we have great playlists, because the problem is that either you're top down, which sucks. Here's something that I want people who aren't in the business to know. Everyone hates listening to the same playlist again and again. Yeah. Everybody in hospitality freaking hates listening to the same playlist over and over again. But usually the people in charge are so hinky-dinky about what's on the playlist that and also playlists are very hard to make, and you can't really, no one can DJ on the fly and work. You know what I mean? At the same time. So, point is, it's very hard to make a good playlist, very hard to get it going. My theory is that restaurant playlists are a very different thing from bar playlists. What are your theories on playlists?
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, what I often say is that I love when I go into a restaurant and there's no music. But that's just because normally the music sucks and it distracts me.
You need music at a bar.
Yeah, but at a bar, for sure, you need music.
And it's very different from a restaurant, because at a bar, here's my theory. Ready for it? All bangers. All bangers. Sure, yeah. Because the drinks that you have at a bar are only like 10 minutes long. Mm-hmm. And so if there's a big lull, you can't have a slow movement while you're sitting there, because you're not supposed to be crying into your beer. Yeah. We're not playing old school country. Right. You know what I mean? Although that is a thing. But that's a different kind of bar. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. No, sounds good to me.
Hold on, let me rip through some stuff. TK Wait, Ticklin' Now says, I'm wondering if I have a specific brand of hydraulic press that you like using for bar-related activities. No. The big one I used was from Harbor Freight, the 20-ton, and the small one that I have is just off of Amazon. I would get a double ram jack so that it's so that you can get a higher height out of it. I mean, I price based on I do it based on price. Oh man. Wenrick, I still use a similar French fry technique. I got to go back and look at all of my old stuff. I have a special need. Wait, next week we're going to have to do some of these because I can't handle in 25 seconds a special needs dog cooking question accurately. So I'm going to have to get to the rest of the questions. I will try to think of succinct answers for all of these questions and get them next week. The book we've been talking about with Luke Pyenson is Taste in Music, Eating on Tour with Indie Musicians. And we didn't really talk about the basic thing is in very shortly, give the spiel for... Well, we're running out of time. Give the spiel for why indie musician touring, the thing about, and I didn't ask you how was tour because A, you're not touring right now, and B, you hate it when people ask you that.
Yeah, it's just, this is a sneaky way to look at this lifestyle that is kind of never really been updated from the Almost Famous vibe of, sex, drugs, rock and roll. And we thought food was the way to give a more accurate window into what we recognize as the culture of touring. It's a collection of essays. Like you said, it's not interviews, but there's some as told bys, which started as interviews. And it's, 40 or so different folks from broadly the world of indie giving their perspective on, feeding themselves on tour. But through those stories, you learn what it's actually like out there.
Right. How what a nightmare it is sometimes to get food after a gig.
Yeah. Or the, wonderful, wanderlusty stories that sound pretty attractive. It's not like that every night, but yeah, it's I don't know, the old the sex and drug shit is just boring.
All right, it's just boring. On the way out, eat in the van or don't eat in the van?
Out of the van as much as possible.
All right. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on, Luke Pyenson, Cooking Issues.
Thanks for having me.